The call came in just after sunrise. One terrified neighbor reporting a scream so sharp it felt like it came from inside the walls. Police rushed to the luxury apartment, expecting a noise complaint. But what they walked into was a scene darker than any crime they had ever witnessed. In the bathroom, an OnlyFans model with thousands of followers, a woman whose online life looked perfect, was found lifeless in a bathtub filled with cold water slowly turning red. Her makeup bottles were scattered on the floor, her robe torn, and there were signs she fought for her life. But the true horror waited in the bedroom. Her boyfriend, the man seen in every Instagram vacation photo, every TikTok moment, was lying on the floor covered in stab wounds, some defensive, some brutal, deliberate. He had tried to crawl toward the door. He never made it. 2 deaths, 1 apartment, no witnesses, and a digital world full of secrets hidden behind filters, deleted messages, and late-night arguments nobody ever saw. Investigators quickly discovered that behind their glamorous online image was a relationship collapsing under jealousy, money, and a mysterious third person who had been sending threatening messages for weeks. A person detectives now believe might be the last one to see both victims alive. Tonight, we reveal the truth behind the double murder that stunned fans across the world. A story of obsession, betrayal, and a killer who knew exactly where to strike. To the outside world, they were the couple everyone envied. She was a rising OnlyFans model, known for her confidence, her beauty, and the glamorous lifestyle she showcased every day. Perfect lighting, designer outfits, expensive perfumes, hotel room selfies, and beach vacations. Her followers believed she was living a dream life, and her boyfriend was the quiet, supportive partner behind it all. He appeared in her videos occasionally, usually smiling, usually calm, like the ideal man everyone assumed he was. But offline, their reality was nothing like the filtered world they posted online. Behind closed doors, pressure had been building. The model's success came fast, too fast. Money started coming in, but so did attention from thousands of strangers. Some praised her, some harassed her, some became obsessed. As her online presence grew, jealousy began eating at the edges of her relationship. Her boyfriend, once proud of her ambition, now struggled with the constant messages from strangers, the late-night photo shoots, and her sudden rise in fame. He hated the comments calling her perfect, gorgeous, and worth paying for. What bothered him more was the men sending private messages, offering her gifts, flights, and even money for private interactions. The couple's arguments became more frequent. Friends recalled hearing raised voices through the apartment walls. Neighbors remembered the thuds, the slamming doors, and the uncomfortable silence that followed. One friend said the boyfriend felt he was losing her to the internet, while she felt he was holding her back from opportunities. The tension was real and dangerous. But what the couple didn't know was that someone else had entered their lives, a third person whose presence would eventually lead investigators down a dark path. This person appeared subtly at first, a username liking every post, commenting on every story, sending long late-night messages. The model brushed it off as just another obsessed follower, but the boyfriend didn't. He saw the comments get more personal, more controlling, more aggressive. Messages like, "Why aren't you replying to me?" and "I know where you live," began showing up. She blocked the account, but more accounts appeared, each more threatening than the last. The boyfriend grew paranoid. He told her to take a break from posting, but her income depended on it. Arguments shifted from jealousy to safety. He wanted her to go private. She insisted she had everything under control. Neither of them realized how close this mysterious follower had gotten, or how far they were willing to go. Meanwhile, their financial situation didn't help. Despite her income, their expenses were higher than ever. Rent, travel, photo shoots, brand deals requiring upfront costs. Money became another spark for fights. She felt he wasn't contributing enough. He felt she only cared about her fans and fame. Even on camera, the tension began showing. Viewers noticed her smiles looked forced. Comments speculated about trouble at home. But like most influencers, she hid the truth under captions like, "Feeling blessed," and "Love my life." The last week before the murders was the worst. They argued about a message she received, one the boyfriend believed came from the same dangerous follower who had been harassing her for months. She snapped, telling him he was overreacting. He shouted that she didn't take her safety seriously. She locked herself in the bathroom. He punched the wall. Neighbors reported loud arguments every night. Still, by morning, they acted normal. They filmed a short video together. They posted smiling selfies. They walked to the store holding hands, but the cracks in their relationship were deepening, and someone was watching, studying their routine, waiting for the perfect moment, a moment that arrived sooner than either of them could imagine. The night everything went wrong began quietly, too quietly for what was about to unfold. The couple returned home after a long day of filming content. Neighbors saw them carrying groceries, talking normally, even laughing. Nothing about their behavior suggested the apartment would become a crime scene just hours later. At 9:18 p.m., the model posted her final Instagram story, a soft-lit selfie in the bathroom mirror with the caption, "Long day, finally home." It looked peaceful, but in reality, tension simmered beneath the surface. She had received another threatening message earlier that evening. She shrugged it off. Her boyfriend didn't. According to her friends, he spent most of the night pacing the living room, muttering that someone was watching them. Around 10 p.m., they ordered takeout. When the delivery driver arrived, he noticed the boyfriend looked tense, while the model seemed distracted by messages on her phone. The driver later told police, "They didn't look like a happy couple that night." It was the last time anyone saw them alive. Surveillance footage from the building revealed something chilling. At 10:47 p.m., a hooded figure entered through the back entrance, face covered, hands gloved. They moved with confidence, as if they knew exactly where they were going. Investigators later confirmed this person never signed in, didn't speak to anyone, and avoided all cameras, except one, which caught only a brief silhouette. Inside the apartment, arguments began again. Not screaming, just sharp, angry words. The boyfriend confronted his girlfriend about the message. She insisted it was just a troll. He accused her of hiding something. She told him he was being paranoid. A pot fell. A chair slid. Neighbors recalled hearing muffled arguing followed by sudden silence. Then came the sound that still haunts them. A single scream, cut short, followed by a heavy thud. Police believe the killer entered the unlocked apartment moments later. Evidence showed no forced entry, suggesting the couple either forgot to lock the door, or worse, the killer expected it. The boyfriend was attacked first. He was ambushed in the living room, stabbed repeatedly in the chest and stomach. The wounds told a story. The killer struck fast, with brutal force, but not randomly. They aimed for vital organs. The boyfriend tried to defend himself. There were cuts on his hands and arms, but the killer was stronger, fueled by rage or adrenaline. He collapsed near the bedroom door, leaving a smear of blood on the carpet as he tried to crawl away. The model, hearing the chaos, ran to the bathroom. She slipped on the wet tiles, hitting her head on the edge of the tub. Investigators believe she attempted to lock the door, but the killer forced it open. The shower curtain was ripped down. The sink was cracked. It was a desperate struggle. What happened next was cold and calculated. The killer lifted her and pushed her into the bathtub, turning on the water. She was unconscious, but alive. She drowned slowly as blood from her head injury mixed with the water, turning it red. By 11:12 p.m., the killer wiped down surfaces, grabbed something from her dresser, police suspect it was her phone, and left, the same way they entered. The apartment fell silent. The water in the tub overflowed until the heater shut off automatically. The boyfriend's phone buzzed with missed messages. The hallway camera caught nothing but the stillness of an ordinary night. It wasn't until 5:36 a.m., when a neighbor reported hearing running water for hours, that the nightmare was discovered. A night that began with quiet routine ended in a double murder, leaving only questions, fear, and a chilling realization. Someone planned this. Someone watched. Someone knew exactly what they were doing. The discovery of the crime scene began with something seemingly trivial: the sound of running water. At 5:36 a.m., the neighbor living directly below the couple called the building manager. She had been awake since dawn, listening to the constant drip and hum of water pipes vibrating through her ceiling. At first, she thought someone had left a faucet running, but when the sound continued for hours, she feared a flood. The manager knocked on the couple's door twice, waited, then knocked again harder. Silence. No footsteps. No voices. No movement. Instinct told him something was wrong. He called police. When officers arrived, they announced themselves and waited, but nobody answered. The door was locked from the inside, which ruled out an easy escape route. After one final warning, police broke the door open. What they saw left experienced officers speechless. The living room was dimly lit by morning sunlight sneaking through the curtains. Food containers sat open on the table. A phone charger was still plugged in. A half-finished drink sat on the counter. At first glance, it looked like an ordinary apartment, until officers noticed the trail of blood smeared across the floor. The boyfriend lay on his side near the bedroom door, dried blood covering his shirt, hands frozen in the position of someone trying to crawl for help. His eyes remained open, glassy and lifeless. The visual impact was brutal. Multiple stab wounds, defensive cuts, and no weapon nearby. It was clear he had fought back, but not enough to save himself. Officers moved deeper into the apartment, following the sound of running water. The bathroom door was slightly ajar. One officer pushed it open slowly, and there she was, the OnlyFans model, motionless, submerged in the bathtub. The water was cloudy with dried blood. She was wearing her bathrobe, now soaked and torn. Her head leaned against the ceramic edge, as if someone had placed her there. The officer immediately shut off the water, but the damage was already done. She had been dead for hours. Detectives sealed off the apartment, photographing every inch of the scene before touching anything. Nothing was left to chance. The bathroom tiles were scraped, the shower curtain torn, the sink cracked. Signs of a violent struggle. A forensic team arrived within minutes, setting up lights, placing markers, and collecting fibers, prints, and DNA samples. A shocking discovery came first. There were no fingerprints on the doorknob, no footprints on the wet floor, no stray hairs. Almost everything that could be wiped down was wiped down. This wasn't a panic killing, it was methodical. In the living room, detectives found the boyfriend's phone forced open and smashed. Someone had destroyed it deliberately. But the model's phone was missing entirely. After hours of searching the apartment, they concluded the killer had taken it. A key piece of evidence was found near the window, a tiny, barely visible fiber stuck to the curtain. Forensics identified it as synthetic, a type commonly used in hoodies. It didn't match any clothing in the apartment. CCTV footage was pulled next. One camera caught the suspicious hooded figure entering the building with their face hidden. No one exiting matched that appearance. But detectives discovered another detail. This person had waited in the corner of the lobby for exactly 3 minutes before heading upstairs. They knew the layout. They knew the timing. They knew the couple's routine. Investigators traced messages in the model's cloud-linked backups, dozens of threatening texts from an unidentified person, some furious, some obsessive, some promising they would see her soon. The motive was becoming clearer: jealousy, obsession, and a personal vendetta. As the sun rose over the building, a grim realization settled over everyone. The killer had planned this. The killer had watched them. The killer had been close enough to know their every move, and now the killer was out there, silent, invisible, and possibly watching again, As detectives dug deeper into the couple's digital history, a disturbing pattern began to emerge, one that pointed to a single, shadowy figure weaving through every corner of their lives. The threatening messages weren't random. They belonged to a person who had shown dangerous obsession long before the murders took place, someone who had watched, studied, and inserted themselves into the couple's world long before either victim realized it. This person appeared under many usernames, each slightly different but clearly controlled by the same hand. They commented obsessively on the model's photos. They sent long messages accusing her of lying and choosing the wrong man. They complimented her, then insulted her. They begged to meet her, then warned her not to ignore them. It was a perfect pattern of stalker behavior, obsession turning slowly into hate. But investigators needed a real identity. A breakthrough came when cyberforensic analysts traced one of the burner accounts to an IP address used at a local coffee shop. Surveillance footage from that coffee shop revealed a familiar face, a man who had appeared in the building's lobby camera before the murder days before the crime. He had stood near the elevator, pretending to check his phone, his eyes fixed toward the couple's apartment floor. He wasn't a stranger. He wasn't a passing fan. He was someone from her past. Police discovered he was an ex-boyfriend she had dated years before her rise to fame. Their breakup had been messy, full of accusations and controlling behavior. She had blocked him on every platform, moved to a new apartment, changed her number. But he found her again when she became public on social media. Fame made hiding impossible. All he had to do was follow the breadcrumbs she posted online. Locations, outfits, windows, reflections, shadows. He pieced together her life like a puzzle. The boyfriend had sensed something. He'd told co-workers he felt watched, and mentioned that someone had been leaving strange notes on their car. They dismissed it as paranoia. But detectives now saw the full picture. More evidence surfaced when investigators located a storage unit rented under the suspect's name. Inside, they found disturbing items, printed photos of the model taken without her knowledge, screenshots of every story she ever posted, a notebook filled with writing, pages of delusional fantasies, rage-filled entries, and chilling statements like, "If I can't have her, no one will." The most shocking discovery was a list labeled "Moments She's Alone." Each entry described specific times the boyfriend traveled, or when the model was home during certain hours, the stalker had been recording their lives in detail. The closer the investigators looked, the more they realized the murders were not spontaneous. They were planned, carefully, methodically, emotionally. Detectives secured warrants and interviewed people who knew the suspect. Former co-workers described him as quiet but intense, someone who rarely talked but watched others closely. A former roommate told police he had anger issues and often fixated on people. Another woman who once dated him said he became aggressive when she tried to leave, but the most telling came from the suspect's mother, who admitted he had been obsessed with the girl since the breakup and never moved on. By now, investigators were almost certain they had the right person, but they still needed direct evidence linking him to the crime scene. That evidence came from an unexpected source, the fiber found on the curtain. Forensic results showed the fiber matched the exact synthetic blend used only in a limited edition hoodie sold years ago. When police searched the suspect's home, they found that hoodie in his closet, washed, dried, but still carrying microscopic blood traces missed in his attempt to clean it. A match. The break investigators needed. The digital stalking, the obsessive notes, the threats, the hoodie fiber, everything pointed to one truth. This wasn't just a jealous ex. This was a predator who had been preparing for the kill. With mounting evidence and the fiber from the curtain confirming their worst suspicions, detectives moved quickly. In the early hours of the morning, a full tactical team surrounded the suspect's apartment. There was no dramatic chase, no attempt to escape. When officers knocked, he opened the door calmly, almost as if he had been expecting them. His face was emotionless. His first words were chillingly simple. "I knew you'd come." Inside his apartment, investigators found more incriminating evidence. backup phones, SIM cards, a computer with dozens of folders named after the model. Every folder contained photos, videos, screenshots, and obsessive notes documenting her life. This wasn't a moment of temporary rage. This was premeditation at its darkest. At the precinct, the interrogation began. Detectives didn't start with accusations. They started with silence. They laid out the photos. They placed the notebook on the table. They pushed the hoodie forward. Then they waited. The suspect stared at the items, blinking slowly, his jaw tight. For nearly an hour, he refused to speak. But when detectives showed him the recovered text messages, the threats, the jealous rants, the messages promising he would end everything, his demeanor cracked. He mumbled, "She lied to me." It was the first real emotion he showed. Detectives leaned in. They didn't interrupt. They let him talk. He claimed the model led him on, that she never gave closure, that her new boyfriend replaced him. His voice trembled with anger as he described feeling invisible, abandoned, and mocked. It was clear he had rewritten reality in his mind, blaming her for a fantasy he had built and forced her into. Eventually, the dam broke. He confessed. He admitted he had been watching the couple for months, waiting for the right moment. He had memorized their schedules from her social media posts. He knew when they ate, when they slept, when they fought. The night of the murder, he entered through the unlocked back entrance. He waited near the elevator, counting the minutes until he was certain they were distracted. When he heard voices arguing, he walked straight to their door and found it ajar. He said the boyfriend got in the way, that he stabbed him because he wasn't supposed to be there. He claimed he never intended to hurt the model, but couldn't let her leave again. Detectives knew this was a lie. The crime scene proved the brutality was intentional. His coldest moment came when he described the bathtub. He said he wanted her to be quiet. His voice carried no remorse. After hours of interrogation, he signed the confession. The case was now airtight. When the news broke, the public reacted with shock and disbelief. Fans mourned the loss of the model, posting tributes across social media. Others were horrified by how a glamorous online life could hide so much danger. Many blamed the open accessibility of social media platforms that allowed stalkers to watch without being seen. The story captured headlines around the world. Influencer murdered by obsessed ex. Double killing shocks online community. Stalker turned killer. The dark side of fame. During the trial, the suspect sat expressionless. Prosecutors laid out the entire sequence: the stalking, the threats, the break-in, the murders. The jury took less than 4 hours to deliver a unanimous verdict: guilty on all charges, life in prison without parole. But even with justice served, the case left a lasting scar. It exposed the hidden dangers faced by young influencers, the risks of posting real-time updates, and the terrifying reality that some followers don't just watch, they fixate, obsess, and eventually break. In the end, this double murder became a dark reminder. Behind polished photos and perfect captions, danger can hide in the shadows, watching every move, just waiting for the right moment to strike.